Ariel Helwani in Las Vegas gearing up for UFC 141 alongside UFC President Dana White. And Dana, thank you for taking out the time. And it's nice of you to join us. You've been traveling all over the world, tweeting pictures, making us sort of common folk feel bad that we're just in the cold. But it's nice of you to come. You're looking great and tanned as always. So let us talk about what happened today. Usually we like to talk about the fights at hand, but you broke some very big news after the press conference. Miguel Torres back in the UFC. You met with him earlier this morning. And it's interesting because when we talked in Toronto, you said pretty definitively he's not coming back. No way, no how. Why did you change your mind?
Well, I don't know if I said he's not coming back. No way, no how. What I said was, yeah, he's been cut from the UFC. He went out and talked about something that you shouldn't talk about on Twitter. It makes absolutely no sense, whether you're joking, whether it's from a TV show or whatever it is. It makes no sense. So when I was away on vacation, his manager texted me and said, "Can we come in next week and meet with you?" And I said, yes. Set it up through my secretary. So they did. They came in here this morning, and Miguel Torres sat on that couch right there today. And first of all, I haven't talked to Miguel Torres since this whole incident. I haven't talked to him at all. On his own, he went out and met with 5 rape crisis centers in Chicago. He donated money to all of them. He's been taking rape sensitivity classes. And this whole thing has been a pretty traumatic experience for him. And the things that he's gone through the last several weeks. I am one of those people that everybody makes mistakes. I do, you do, believe it or not.
Not
Everybody
true.
who's watching does. We've all made mistakes and we will make more. What I judge a person on is how they handle themselves after they make those mistakes. Never once did Miguel Torres flip out and say, oh, well, this or that, or point the fingers at anybody else. He went out and he handles his business like a man. There's so many guys that I've seen in this sport that get busted for something and deny it and say that it's not true, and think that there's conspiracies against them and all kinds of bullshit. The way that Miguel Torres went out and handled this, I have nothing but respect for him, and I truly and honestly know that he learned something from this situation, and hopefully everybody else did too. Because I'll be honest with you, when I sat here with him today, it's not like I haven't been through this. I've been through the same. I know what it's like. I know what happens, and everything he said to me today was from the heart. He means it, and I get it, and I have nothing but respect for Miguel.
Are you at all concerned that now people will say, all right, Dana says something?
People are going to say all kinds of people. I was criticized for cutting him. Now I'm going to be criticized for bringing him back. I don't give a what anybody thinks. I don't care what the fans have to say about it. I don't care what the reporters are going to say or write about it. You can all have your opinions. Your opinions don't mean me. I'm going to run this thing the way that I want to, and I'm going to do things the way that I think it should be done. I know when I cut Miguel Torres that I did the right thing, and I know I did the right thing today by bringing him back.
Final thing on Miguel. Does he return to the UFC in the same spot that he was in before this incident, or does he have to sort of work his way back up?
No, he's the same guy, the same fighter. He's in the same position he was. I mean, him coming back has nothing to do with where he sits in this company or as far as a fighter or whatever. I've had a little bit of interaction with Miguel Torres over the last several years. Nothing big, nothing great. My interaction with Miguel Torres this morning, I really, really respect and like this guy a lot. First of all, like I said, nobody told him to do this. It wasn't go do this and maybe we'll bring you back in the UFC. Never. We didn't talk to him at all. And then when he was here today and we walked through all the stuff, I said, so what are you doing this afternoon? And he said, I'm flying home at 2:00. I said, how'd you like to go to the press conference with me? I mean, that's literally the way this whole thing went down today. So that's the way I handle things. We everything is on a case-by-case basis, and we'll deal with, stuff as it comes.
All right, let's talk about the fights. A very interesting main event. It's one to determine the number one contender in the heavyweight division. You've got Alistair Overeem versus Brock Lesnar. It's somewhat surreal in a sense, for lack of a better word, to hear you talk about Alistair as a member of the UFC, because I remember the last time we sort of talked about him was after UFC 124 in Montreal. He had just won the K1 World Grand Prix, and you said you like him. He's a great guy, but he's just not top 10. He's not a top 10 heavyweight. Since then, he's beaten Todd Duffy, UFC cast-off, and Fabricio Verdum, a not very impressive performance. How is he now in the UFC, not only in the UFC, but fighting for a shot at the title?
Well, he was a Strikeforce champion, and yeah, I'm not going to go back and change anything that I said. You have all these guys out there who always believe, oh, this guy's the best. He's the best. If he was in the UFC, he'd win. And what do I always say? There's only one way to find out. Let's get him in here and let's see what happens. We got him here, and we'll find out on Friday.
Do you think he's top 10 right now?
I don't know. He hasn't been fighting, in my opinion, he hasn't been fighting the best in the world. You know what I mean? If you win the Strikeforce Championship and you beat Paul Bonatello, and if you beat Fabricio, who, never made it to a title in the UFC, if you beat, and right now, I mean, you're asking me if I think he's top. He's the favorite in this. He's a big favorite as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Brock Lesnar, former UFC heavyweight champion who has, fought nothing but the best in the world since he's been here, is almost a 2-1 favorite, underdog in this fight. So there's been a lot of people who've talked, a lot of smack that this guy's the best, blah, blah, blah. I've given my input on where I thought he was when asked about it. And the great thing about fighting that I love the most is everybody has an opinion. Everybody's an expert. There's only one way to find out, and we're going to find out on Friday night.
Does it surprise you that Brock is the underdog going into this fight?
Yeah. Well, even if you take the experience factor that Alistar does have, and the fact that, people are looking at how he lost his last fight, but he lost to Cain Velasquez, I think that, they're giving him the advantage because he has 69 pro fights. And so.
Did you have a plan B in case Alistair was not licensed by the commission here in Nevada?
Yeah, we started talking to Mir, told Mir to get in shape and get ready, and he was.
And he was ready and willing to take this fight on short notice.
Yeah, there's never been a situation in almost 10 years of being in business for Frank Mir where we called Frank Mir, and Frank Mir was like, yeah, you know what? I'm really not interested in taking this fight. Yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be ready. Yeah, I got Christmas coming. There's never been a case where Frank Mir turned down a fight in 10 years.
What was your take on how that whole situation was handled on Overeem's part and the commission's part? Because the commission had never done anything like that before. They've never given out a conditional license. On the flip side, some people saying, well, he really waited a month to take what was supposed to be an out-of-competition test.
I have no comment on it.
How about Brock Lesnar? On the flip side, people are saying that this is not the same guy. He hasn't fought in 14 months. He's seems a lot nicer in a sense, but he just had a foot of his colon removed. What is your take on him? What you see when you see out of this guy? I mean, it's unbelievable. When you listen to him, when you talk to him, he seems like a different guy, and we're sort of forgetting the fact that he hasn't fought in 14 months and he had a foot of his colon removed. That's a pretty amazing thing.
A foot of his colon removed.
That's incredible.
It is incredible.
Only Alan Green, the boxer, has come back from something like that in professional sports.
Well, the crazy thing about this surgery is it was such a success. Brock Lesnar feels good. You can just tell that he feels better. I think he's mentally and physically there right now. I mean, he's so confident. And
you believe that he's a different guy? Because he said that before the Cain Velasquez fight.
Well, it depends on what you mean by different guy. I mean, I deal with Brock every day. Brock is Brock. Some days you get the great Brock that's in a great mood and will joke and laugh around, and 99% of the time you get the Brock, what Brock Lesnar is known for. So I just think Brock is Brock. I think that he's healthy and feeling better, yeah. But I think that no matter how you look at this fight, both guys are healthy. They're both 100% going into this fight. This fight is one thing and one thing only. It's the striker versus the wrestler. Alistar Overeem is going to do everything in his power to stay on his feet and try to knock him out with knees, punches, and kicks. And Lesnar is going to do everything in his power to take him down, get that side position that he likes, and smash him.
You seem to be as excited for the Cerrone Diaz fight as you are for the main event, and you are front and center. You're probably the only person who can tell us what really happened there at the press conference. Why did Nate Diaz knock off Donald Cerrone's cowboy hat?
Going into this press conference and knowing there was going to be a stare down, I was ready for some stuff with these two because there's been heat between these two. But during the press conference, they gave the indication like, that's being overplayed. It was what it was. It's behind us. They come up for the face-off. Everything seems cool. Nate gets up like he does and does his thing, and it's a great stare down. I'm thinking, well, and then sure enough, Cerrone says, "I'm getting in that ass on Friday, or he says, I'm kicking your ass on Friday or something. As soon as he said that, Nate knocks the hat off and pushes him. So.
And the weigh-ins tomorrow, the stare down there, I'm sure you'll have some extra security there. I'm wondering about Donald Cerrone, though, because he is 0-2 against Ben Henderson. And I know there's a lot of ifs involved here, but let's just say Henderson beats Frankie Edgar. Cerrone wins. Some might say he's the number one contender. Would you not give him a title shot because he's 0-2 against Henderson in WC, or what happened then is sort of in the past?
That's the past. I mean,
am I really boring you that much?
Yes, you bore the shit out of me. In mixed martial arts, you get better. I mean, your game continues to get better and better if you're a true professional and do what you're supposed to do. And that kid is. I mean, Donald Cerrone looks so much better since the day he came into the UFC. I mean, he just continues to improve and improve and improve. And one of the things that a lot of people don't really know about Cerrone, the Diaz brothers always get this rap about, how mean and nasty they are and all that. Donald Cerrone isn't exactly Mr. Sunshine and Mr. Friendly either. You know what I mean? And I think you can see it throughout, the buildup for this fight. He's as game as anybody. I think they both have that "you're not going to disrespect me" thing.
Great card top to bottom. It's amazing. The John Fitch fight just completely getting overlooked, I think, because of those two great fights. And you have a guy who's 21-1-1 in his last 23 fights, John Fitch. Mm-hmm. Yet for some reason, the shoulder surgery, the draw, he's just not really in the mix right now at 170. We talked to him yesterday, and he said that he's concerned that MMA is becoming too much like pro wrestling, that the guys who talk the loudest are getting the attention and the title shots. What do you make of that?
I would say that first of all, I'm sure if he's saying the guys who talk the loudest, they're just talking about a Chael Sonnen. Chael came back. Chael, you say what you want about Chael Sonnen. He backs that up. Nobody's ever in the history of the UFC fought Anderson Silva the way that Chael Sonnen did. Nobody. He goes out, he puts on exciting fights, and he backs up everything that he says. Is the guy nutty? He's nutty as hell. But he backs up everything that he says, and people think pro wrestling or whatever. The problem with John Fitch is, you hear the same thing from everybody about John Fitch. If I want to fall asleep and I can't get to sleep at night, I'll put in a John Fitch fight. And whatever you think, John Fitch is one of the best 170 pounders in the world. And yes, he's in the hunt for a title again. But everybody, find one person that will tell you that they love a John Fitch fight. It's the most exciting thing they've ever seen, and they just get so excited for it. So when you say that you have a fight like Cerrone and Diaz on the card, and a guy with a record like his is on, and people aren't, jumping out of their seats for that fight, I think John needs to have a little bit of, he's got to be a little honest with himself and have a little bit of reality, reality check when he talks about stuff like that.
Three last quick things before I let you go. Efrain Escudero making his return to the UFC. I remember at UFC 119, you told us that he got too comfortable. This is after he was released. He missed weight, and maybe it all went to his head. He had a great opportunity with Bud Light, a lot of promotion in Mexico. I know obviously you have a lot going on, but did someone in the UFC talk to him and get a sense that, yes, maybe he has matured and this isn't going to go to his head, and now he's getting another shot in the UFC?
No, I don't think it's about a guy maturing. He's a talented guy. He lost, and that was my opinion on what happened to him. And what again, I got to talk about what I respect about the guy. He went out there, went into the smaller shows, and worked his way back into the UFC again. And I haven't talked to him, and I'm sure nobody else did, about any of this stuff. We don't do that, but I'm sure he showed what kind of a man he is. He went out and he did his thing, and now he's coming back. And I'm sure this time he will understand what it means to be here and what it means to not be here.
How concerned are you that fans who are excited to watch this card will sit at home on Saturday night and look to buy it, and it won't be available? I get tweets all day about it. Even a fan at the press conference said Saturday night it's sort of programmed in a Saturday, and back in the day there were fights on Friday, of course. But what are you going to do in the next 24 hours or so to tell people that this is not actually happening on Saturday, it's happening on a Friday?
Oh, we're going to do everything that we can. Brock and Alistar were on SportsCenter today doing Rome. We got, a full page ad in the USA Today. I'm going to be tweeting my ass off. It's one of those things, you got to get word of mouth. Hopefully what's happening is a lot of people are going out on New Year's Eve, so they'll stay home Friday night and watch the fight.
All right, final question. We talked about this in Toronto. Duane "Bang" Ludwig, you put out your video blog earlier today about sort of breaking it down frame by frame. I'm just wondering, in the history books, will there be a mention that Ariel Helwani brought this up to you, and thus Duane "Bang" Ludwig is the record holder for the fastest KO in UFC history?
Absolutely not.
But we sort of did bring it to your attention first.
Of course you did.
Just looking for.
Actually, I saw it on the internet first.
Really?
I saw it in the internet.
Can't believe
first.
anything you see
And
on the
then
internet.
you told me.
Right.
Because remember you asked me, and I said, yeah, I've seen it out there, and obviously I've seen Bang tweeting about it, and I saw it on the internet, but I never really looked into it. everybody wants. I always hear guys, I really won that fight. If you went back and you look, I won that fight. My knockout was faster. My this, my that. After you hear 10 years of that, it just starts to, bounce off you. And then, once we talked about it, I looked into it, and we did. You saw how we break that thing down. There's no more accurate way on earth than to break it down right off the camera. There's that shot it. And we did it. And the zombie was so close to it would be one thing. How about for Ludwig? He's been battling all this time to get number one. And if we really broke it down and that thing was 0.2 of a second, it would even been a tie or Zombie would have beat him. But it's a fact. It's undeniable. We've got it right on film. We made it real easy for everybody, including the commission, to see that Bang Ludwig does have the fastest knockout in UFC history.
And just to be clear, even though the Nevada State Athletic Commission is not going to,
how do they not? They're going to have to.
They took a shot at you, actually. Keith Kaiser did, and said, this is, who do they think they are? The WBC. And I think that was referring to the Bernard Hopkins fight from a couple of weeks or months ago against Chad Dawson when they reversed the decision. So I guess what they were saying was the promoters aren't really in the position to be making changes like that to the record books.
I disagree. Here's the thing. What drives me crazy is the NFL right now. The NFL has instant replay. You know why? Because you don't want to anybody. Out of when a guy if you take a team and the NFL league has decided that they don't want to screw anybody out of making a great play, and we have the technology to do this and go back, and a referee can say, I was wrong. Yep, we looked at it on tape and here it is. You're never going to be better than a video camera. Okay, you're never going to be better than a video camera. Okay, so all the posturing and all the coolness, whatever, you're going to make mistakes. We all do. This is how this conversation started, okay, by making mistakes. And it's being able to go back and fix those mistakes. It's there. It's on camera. It's a fact. It's not like we're going back, like I'm the WBC because I want my guy to, I just want the right guy. If it's a fact and it's true and everybody knows it, why shouldn't it be on the books? Why shouldn't it be changed? Why couldn't you go, wow, okay, yeah, we made a mistake. Let's fix this and make it right. Let's not screw Bang Ludwig, a guy who's worked his entire life, his whole career. This kid's been through ups and downs. He broke his shin bone. He's had hard times in his life with his family. You're going to deny him of what he actually earned? That's pretty disgusting. Disgusting.
UFC 141 goes down this Friday night, not Saturday, Friday night, live from the MGM Grand Garden Arena here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, Alistair Overeem makes his UFC debut against Brock Lesnar, and Donald Cerrone goes up against Nate Diaz. Thank you so much for the time, Dana.
Thank you.